Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome. How are you all doing? Happy New Year. Neil here with Portal to Ascension. Good to be here with you all. And just letting a few people come in, but go ahead and say hi in the chat. We got quite a lot of you tuning in right now. Hope you're doing beautifully. Hope you had a good day yesterday. And I'm excited for today's broadcast and for today in general being New Year. I don't think I've ever done a New Year special. No, I don't think I have. We do Christmas specials. We do an event a few days after New Year's, but actually spending this day to come in and check in with you guys and talk. This is the first time, and I think we're going to do this every year now. Actually, I am thinking we're going to do a Halloween event. We're going to do a Christmas event. We're going to do a New Year's event. We're going to do an Easter event. We're going to do a every event. I love the energies of these moments because the veils are really thin in these moments. I would say, like, just to kind of go on a tangent here, I used to be so anti these moments. I used to be so anti New Year's Day, anti Christmas, anti holidays. And I shifted that belief system to just let's enjoy the fact that we're all coming together to create a collective intention. And it's a beautiful thing when we all come together to celebrate. In some level, there's not enough celebration on the planet. I feel that even though we have a specific day where we're celebrating a rotation around the sun, having moving towards a reality where soon we can celebrate every single day is truly beautiful. But that doesn't mean we forego the days that we've already set in order to come together, in order to let go of the burdens that we all carry, so that we could really truly celebrate something beautiful that a lot of people don't even contemplate what we're really doing. And what we're really doing is we're literally celebrating a rotation around the sun. It came from sun worshiping. It also kind of comes from the worship of linear time. If you think about it, our distance from the sun and linearity on this planet. So today we're going to have an amazing event for you. And as I shared in the email, we have a couple of surprise guests coming on. I'll tell you who it is in a second. And in about 15 to 20 minutes, 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes, I would say, we'll be on with Raquel Spring, and we're going to get deep into the astrology of 2026. But I want to see what is up with you guys. Everybody's saying hello in the room. So I'm going to read some of these comments off. Let's put some of these comments up here. This is the Portal to Ascension New Year's Day party. Welcome to the party. Welcome, welcome. Let us know where you're from, too. Let us know where you are from. So, a couple things I want to share before we get into today's broadcast, today's program, is I shared it just a few seconds ago that I was thinking about this broadcast in the last couple days, and when I was thinking about it, I was like, "Wow! Like, what am I going to start with and share?" And to me, the first thing that came is the whole sun worshiping reality moving into our future, right? And if you saw my Christmas special, you would have that I did on December 24th on the YouTube channel. You could check it out. We did a whole deep dive on the sun worshiping religions that came from other religions or other cults, if you will, such as the Saturn worshiping cults, the Venus worshiping cults. I'm not talking about cult in the way we use it now, but the ancient ways of these groups of people that worship different celestial bodies. We even have, which I truly hold deep respect and reverence for, the central sun worshiping or reverence giving ancient civilizations like the Mayans, like the Egyptians, where they speak about the black hole in the center of the galaxy being the central sun, right? And that's really where I feel we're moving towards. And 2026, important year, every year that increases from now, extremely important, even more so. And as we shift into these realities, we're moving into from linear time into galactic time. And there has been a time, there's been a long time we've been on Earth. We have been completely in worship mode for the sun, like to the point that we are lesser than that sun or that respective sun god, right? And then Christmas time, of course, is literally the most sun worshiping time of year. We're celebrating the solstice. Sol stands for sun. Stis stands for still. Sun is still for 3 days, and then it resurrects. And now we're in the New Year's energy where the sun has now the days have begun to become longer. The light has come onto earth, and from the ancient practices and the ancient wisdom, The light has now overcome the darkness, which is also, I think, a Bible quote as well. The light is not, the light will overcome it. And now we, in a lot of ways, have forgotten these beautiful, not only mythological, but actual celestial activities that are occurring in our cosmos that we have now created these days from. So I think it's truly beautiful. And I love the fact that we're here together today. What happens during these moments, right? When we all get together and collectively think, you guys may have heard of the Maharishi effect, right? And when people are, say we got 2 million people on Earth, right? 2 million people in one big stadium, for example, and all those 2 million people envisioned the same thing or did the same guided meditation to send out that frequency to create that reality. This world operates so much like a simulation, right? It's an organic, real simulation, paradoxical, that they could manifest that reality and create it right in front of them. If everybody on Earth right now, if we like say that 80% of us all of a sudden just envisioned and sat down and meditated and envisioned a UFO from the physics says that all of a sudden a UFO should appear because we are creating that reality. So what happens on days when we're in celebration? When thousands of millions, billions of people are in celebration, billions of people celebrating one day. What happens is the veils become thinner. The simulation becomes more accessible to be coded and recoded. The energy of manifestation is stronger than throughout the rest of the year, which is why celebrating and doing something on 11/11 is good because so many people are doing it. It's got nothing to do with the day. It's got everything to do with that people have set that day aside in order for us to do something collectively and set an intention for something. And that's what's happening today. So I invite you all. I also threw away the word resolution a long time ago, right? Resolution, it's to say that something wasn't good and now you need to fix it. So as you guys know, because you're part of PTA community, it's all about that intention. So before we bring on our first guest, which is Joan of Angels, and then our second guest, who's Laura Eisenhower, I want us to do two things together, okay? First, I want to know what you're excited about in 2026. What are you excited about, okay? It doesn't have to be like an intention. Just I'm excited to see my daughter in 3 months. I'm excited to go to the Portal to Ascension New Living Expo in April. And or you could be excited to go and do something in the world. What are you excited for in 2026? What do you look forward to? Let's get that energy of excitement in the room here. And then the next one is going to be your intention for humanity, because the veils are thin. It's the perfect time to throw that into the field, manifest it on a large scale. So go ahead and share it right now. I'll give you a minute here to share what you are excited for. We have the first one coming in here, coherence. Joanne's excited to come on our Greek cruise, which is in March, and that's mysteryschool@sea.com. If anybody wants to join us, it's going to be epic. That's probably my thing is I'm excited about the Greek cruise for sure, and the New Living Expo. Those are my two largest excitements. I'm also excited to see how this year unfolds and a new beginning after a long period of inner work. So go ahead and throw in your intentions as well right now. So excitement, intentions, just throw it all into the field. I'll give you guys about 1 minute here. The year of the fire horse. Excited for that too. We've been in the year of the snake this year. We're in the year of the dragon the year before. We've had 2 reptilian years back to back. We're going to the year of the fire horse. And I jokingly, but somewhat seriously, also say that we've done some deep shadow work, reptilian energy. And now we're going to gallop off into the sunset on the fire horse. Development of spiritual gifts, expansion, cosmic consciousness, contact with star family. The Silent Night. Thank you. Okay, we got some excitement here. Oh my God, everything. This is going to be my best year yet. Probably doing CLE in February. We'll see you there. Yes, you can volunteer for the New Living Expo. Please volunteer. We need like 60 volunteers. So here, I'm going to put my email in the chat for the New Living Expo. And you guys might have saw the trailer at the beginning of this event. I'll play it again. Love for you guys to come. There's the trailer. I mean, there's the email, New Living Expo 1111 at gmail.com if you want to volunteer at this event. Finally, peace after so many wars. Yes, yes, yes. All right, we got to let a few more come in because we're going to do So It Is together. We're going to manifest and actualize this together, but I want more in. Instant manifestation from Joan of Angels. I'll say, like, for me, as these are coming in, I was just sharing with Joan right before we got on that back in the day, like not even too long ago, maybe 3 years ago or more, when things would go wrong or wouldn't go according to what I had planned out, or say I was doing an event, somebody didn't show up, I would be pulling my hair out. I'd be so frustrated and angry. And I realized over the last few years that there was an inner anger within me, and I was holding myself to an expectation that maybe was imposed on me as a child. And I was very much, I would get very angry. I would project onto people, not all the time, but sometimes this would happen. And I've noticed in the last year that stopped. It's not happening as much. Always looking at the bigger picture, and really not just the bigger picture of why we're doing all this, right? But also the only way to really be able to move forward, whether it's someone that you don't want to work with anymore or a decision you need to shift from, is through communicating yourself from a place of being at peace, being at neutral, and communicating how you feel in order for either something to be fixed and rectified or for you to make a realization that you need to pivot and go into another direction. Pulling my hair out, getting frustrated, angry, all it did was create more and further depression for me. And now, when so many things change and shift with Portal to Ascension and new plans, and something doesn't go the same way, I've noticed just in the last few months, really looking into this, into myself, is that I don't react in the same way. I was also sharing with her that if we're like, if what we're doing at Portal to Ascension is really about spreading like love and inner peace, like ultimately it's all about being at peace. Like I want to be at peace with myself. I want the world to be at peace. Then wouldn't it be, wouldn't it warrant for myself to also work on being at peace with myself so that I could be able to be putting this awareness out? That was a realization like a year plus ago. So I was like, man, I got to really figure out how to be more at peace with myself, you know, so that I could really come from a place of knowing and experience and do these events that cultivate that for other people, whether it's ETs, UFOs, ancient history, whatever theme that you come in from. It's understanding who we are on such a massive level, more than what we've been told, that then leads us to just a greater expansion of consciousness. All right, let's read some more here, and then we're gonna bring on Joan. I am an event manager too, so it can help in a lot of ways. Okay, yes, please email me. I am excited for all the growth and healing coming in for myself, all beings. My intention for the collective is that all beings be filled with so much unconditional love for themselves. I love that. Leaving the in between zone. Yeah, coming out on the other side. Meeting and aligning with my true self. Co creating conscious communities, co living experiences, and environments. All right, guys. So you can keep it coming in if you like. For example, full awakening, being the same infinite love on the inside, no matter what's happening on the outside. Yes, that's exactly. You just summarized what I was trying to say. Like that's what I'm saying. So let's do this together. In when I'm gonna count down from 3, and we're all going to say wherever we are, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Okay. So take a deep breath in. 3, 2, 1, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Allow all these dreams, intentions to be manifested into reality to create a beautiful, harmonious experience for ourselves, and for all the creatures, all the humans, all the beings, all the plants on planet Earth. All right, everybody. So, are you ready for this? Let's get into it. So, today's show, we're going to have first coming up in a few moments here, none other than Joan of Angels herself. And then we have we have Laura Eisenhower. They're both going to do about 10 minutes each. These are the guests, and then Raquel Spring is going to give us the show for today with her astrology information. I wanted to bring on Joan and Laura because Geraldine was going to come too, but she can't make it. Geraldine Orozco, so she's actually not feeling too well. So if you have a moment, you know who she is. Send her some love and energy so that she feels better. And but I'm really excited who we have today because these are three of my favorite people. Joan of Angels, of course, one of my best friends. Laura Eisenhower, worked with her more than anybody else, such a close person to my heart. Raquel Spring has become such an important part of my life. She does an annual astrology reading for me, but is also somebody that I just hold so dear to my heart and is such an amazing person that I wanted to do this event with her to start out the year. So let's go ahead and everybody, let's give a big New Year's Day celebratory welcoming to Joan of Angels.
Hello, 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 everyone. I am really excited to be here. Hi, Neil.
Hey, Joan. Good to have you here, too. All right, so I'm just going to let you take it away.
All right. Yeah. Whoa. Just give me a moment to just take a deep breath in. And actually, everyone do it with me. My guide's telling me that we are crossing a threshold. We are moving out of the in-between zone where we have been in for quite a while, in between the ascension path and the de-ascension path, the path of individuality, the path of awakening, the path of going towards our dreams and seeing the new earth unfold versus the control grid that we have been living in for quite a long time. And we are at that juncture where you have the ability now to choose. And that's why we call it the threshold moment, that moment when you are able and will be able to cross over by using mindfulness and discernment and clarity. So we are stepping into a new era where you're being guided to be completely aware of your decisions and of your thought processes and of the way you are navigating your life. Do you give up control? Do you let others take the reign and take charge and then worry about it over the end? Or are you stepping into self-actualization? And so the next period of time for humanity is really awakening into your own power, your own authority, your own independence, and controlling your thoughts in such a way that you are clear, you are using discernment so that what you think about, what goes into that conscious collective field will manifest instantly. And surely some of you are aware that you think about things and then you go on Facebook and an ad pops up exactly what you were thinking. You told no one, because our thoughts now, and because of what is happening in the field, are instantly manifestable. Each of you is a powerful creator, a co-creator of not just your own universe, but of the outcome of the field. As we walk through the next year, the next few years, we're going to notice all of the old control systems are breaking. People are revolting. People do not want to be told what to do, what to eat, what shots to take, what medication, where to go to school, how to live, and what kind of work to do. They are waking up to reality that is determined now by this conscious manifestation of the new human, the ascended human, the one who is able to go forth without fear and realizing that they're no longer giving away your power. So step one, stop giving away your power. Stop saying yes when you mean no. Stop pretending that you're not as powerful as you are. This is a time of really not only breaking free, but claiming that wisdom within you, claiming your ability to make clear choices and to manifest that which you want. It's also a time where self-care, as Neil was mentioning when we started, that there was a time when he was angry, and he's learning, and he's learned to recognize, I wouldn't say weaknesses, I wouldn't say flaws, recognize where who we are at times interferes with who we want to be. That we ourselves create the obstacles and the challenges that we are experiencing. And so this is a time, as we cross that threshold, to let go of those old behaviors that we recognize that get in our way of manifesting who we are in this new reality of personal power, personal manifestation. So we're in exciting times. I'm very grateful to be part of Portal to Ascension, because if you think about it, what is Portal to Ascension but a window, a stepping through, a doorway to the next level? And those of you who come to our in-person events really get to experience that fully, and we bring that to the online events in a way that we can all go through this together, this upliftment of humanity. These are the times for which we called. This is the natural outgrowth of what began in 2020 with an unraveling of the controls of society. Although it looked like more controls, there was an unraveling because people began to wake up and recognize that for a long time, we have not been the rulers of our own fate. Let's put it that way. So this is a time when the ancient wisdoms are really important. This is a time when the wise women, the grandmothers, the bridge walkers, the portals to ascension are the ones who become and step into real leadership, and those who are, quote, the influencers, who are going to take less of a role, whereas this is the spiritual outgrowth, new meanings, new outcomes. This is the reason you came. And so everything up until now was training. We've been in a training ground. That's why I call it the in-between zone. As of 12:01 today, the gates have opened. The gates to you manifesting and becoming that person that you've always dreamed you can be. How do we get there? We get there using clarity. We get there using discernment, mindfulness, and taking care of ourselves first. This is no longer the time when you could take care of everyone else and put yourself last. It is a time to state your truth, stand tall, and really go after that which you came here to be. Not to do, but to be. So it's a year of being. It's a year of pulling back all energies that you have given away. Hopefully you did it last night, but if not, we can do it right here together. Imagine cutting those cords that bind you, cutting those contracts that no longer serve, letting go of that little self of yours. We all have that is a little bit needy, letting go of systems that may have worked in your dysfunction, but that will no longer work now. And as you do that, you can watch the fog lift away from your eyes. So what is it you want to manifest this year? Not just for yourself, but for the collective. Clean air, clean food, clean soil, clothes that elevate us, food that elevates us, conversations that take us to the next level, surrounding ourselves with soul family, soul people, soul homes that support us, understanding that this is a year about resonance. Who resonates with you? Who doesn't? It's time to see very clearly. And that is where the wisdom of the elders comes in, the discernment, the understanding that the ancient wisdoms of clearing away to who you are is what's most important. So have no fear. Have no fear, because this is the year that humanity, God-like beings that we are, remember where we came from. We remember that we're part of that 144,000 collective of beings that came here consciously to uplift the field and to create and become anchors, leaders for those around you. You are in training. Now you are being released as the masters and the leaders that you came here to be. So it's all about self. It's all about self wisdom, self knowing, self discipline, self clarity. Which path are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the lower path, the lesser vibrational frequency? Or are you going to choose this other path, the co-creation path, the path that your soul came here to live? We support you completely. We are so excited that humanity as a whole has stepped through the gateway into this new portal of awakening and awareness. My work helps you as a guide. I am a consultant. I help take whatever is in your brain that you are thinking about and help with clarity and discernment, form your plan to be the best that you can be. That's what we're calling for this year. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Neil. I want to thank all of Portal to Ascension. And most importantly, guys, I'm so excited to be back working with Neil. I'm going to be on the Mystery Cruise. I'm helping to produce the New Living Expo. And I can tell you that Portal to Ascension is going through its own exciting up-levelment.
Yes.
And so it is. And we're happy you're with us.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you for the share. So much beauty and gold in what you shared there. I would say take care of yourself first. Definitely, I want to keep that as a theme over here today. And then also, when you said self 3 times, you said self something, self something, self something else. I forget what you said, but I just realized, as we've shared so many times in different, religious fundamental organizations, it's like you have to be selfless, so you let go of the self in order to give to others, but you never take care of yourself. That whole concept. But I realized another paradox is the way to the collective is the self. The self is the microcosm of the macro. We are given our own bodies as temples in order to be able to treat in a certain way, whether it's our emotional state, whether it's our physical state, in order for us to be able to then project that out to the rest of the world.
Right. We need to be complete in ourselves. We need to use that discernment. We need to understand that as we take care of ourselves, we have more power. We have more authority. We have more presence. So it's about building your presence so that you resonate at a higher frequency that attracts that which you're seeking.
Exactly. Joan, thank you so much. I
love you so much, Neil. See you all next time.
See you next time. All right. Have fun with your family. Okay.
All
take
right.
care.
Bye for now.
All right. And now we're going to get into Laura Eisenhower in about 1 minute here. I just wanted to share one thing, just kind of going back on what Joan was sharing. I had a call with my parents this morning because obviously it's New Year's Day. So my mom FaceTimed me and I asked my mom what's her New Year's intention. And she said the same thing. She said to take care of myself. And she said it's easier said than done because so many ways, so many times my mother has just sacrificed herself for other people, for us, and for my sister and for my new nephews. And even when people don't need the assistance, she's sacrificed her own well-being that has created high blood pressure, stress, and all these different things. And I was like, it's like when things come up, it's like always having the question in your mind of how does this make me feel about myself? Am I able to give myself the love and the intention? I was trying to share with her some insight on some questions that she could do to ask herself in order to make sure that she's checking in with herself before acting or reacting to something. And every year at Portal to Ascension, I have a lot of fun in the beginning, just coming up with a theme for the year, and I did like UFOs was like a few years ago. And obviously the world is shifting hardcore, right? 2027, guys, I already know the theme. Galactic connection is the theme there. But this year, I'm hereby dubbing a Portal to Ascension the taking care of yourself year, okay? So if you would like, you can share in the chat right here any ways that you feel that you need to take care of yourself and what kind of love you want to give to yourself. Maybe it's meditating in the morning. Maybe it's taking a day to yourself every now and then, or whatever tools that you have that you can implement in your life to make sure that you treat yourself like you would want to be treated. Now, our next guest is Laura Eisenhower. And as I just shared, that 2027 is going to be like epic. And I really feel it in every single cell in my body. And 2026 is an important year to me because it's preparation phase. It's like when the shift hits the fan phase. It's time for us to really do that deep work, really to come to community, really to give ourselves compassion, see how we can give compassion to others, see how we can see ourselves in the other, especially the people we disagree with, because that is the type of world that needs to be created for us to move into a galactic community. And Laura Eisenhower, she is one of the foremost people in the world that is doing this work. There's lots of people doing this work, but with Laura, it's so unique because she bridges the worlds, whether it happens to be UFOs and what's happened, secret space program, to the spiritual galactic connection and astrology. She really, that's why she's such a huge component to Portal to Ascension, because she is able to go into so many different topics. So I thought it would only be right to really start out the year with Laura to give her insight of what's been happening with the energies, what's coming up, and what she's excited for. So everybody, let's welcome Laura Eisenhower. Hey, Laura.
Hey, hi Neil.
Happy
So
New
wonderful
Year.
to be here. Happy New Year.
Good
I'm
to see
so
you.
grateful to be a part of this.
I'm grateful to have you. So I'm just going to let you take it away. You ready?
Okay, wonderful.
Let's do
Well,
it.
everybody, yes, I love what Joan shared. I love what you have shared, Neil. It's been incredible to be a part of Portal to Ascension since the beginning, and I'm so excited for this year. And I love all the positive changes as far as what you guys are up to, and I'm excited about what I'm up to. And everybody's got that positive feeling about this coming year. And I really feel, after the snake, after the shedding of the skin, now, the fire horse, fire, transformation, alchemy, forward movement, embodiment, So as we step into 2026, I want to frame this year not as something to fear, fix, or brace for, but more as a turning point. It is a year where things don't necessarily collapse or resolve overnight, but it's where our direction becomes clearer, where momentum returns, not through force, but through alignment. So one of the deeper currents shaping this year that I want to talk about comes through the Virgo Pisces nodal axis, which is fundamentally about the integration of polarity. So the South node is something we reflect upon, it's very foundational, and then we move into the North node to integrate the energies of the North node. We all have the South node and North node in our charts. When we experience the nodal axis as a collective, that nodal energy is amplified during eclipse season. So we're falling back on the Virgo energy and we're looking to step into the Pisces. And that integration of polarity has to do with body, mind, spirit communication. And so it's so right on that you're talking about self-care, because as we sit in the foundation of Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, it has to do with how does the mind talk to the body? Is there still a fight or flight response to outward triggers? Is there internalization of your gifts or abilities, or unresolved traumas that you haven't brought to the surface? What are your habits? What is your diet? What does your everyday life look like from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep? What is the quality of your life and what you're ingesting and bringing into your body and then manifesting, right? So a person that is operating under programmings tends to feel a lot of imbalance in the physical body. When we're on the healing path, we recognize the imbalances and we bring it into coherence, and we begin to embrace that creative imagination and embody our dreams and visions and what is possible, what we're capable of. And when the mind speaks to the body from the higher self, we are rapidly healing, we are manifesting, we are embodying. So this is really, a time of embodiment. And with that fire horse, and Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries, it's really about not outsourcing our creative imagination to some outward narrative, news story, trajectory that is engineered, or something that is being projected upon us that people have unconsciously, energetically corded themselves to. And it has to do with breaking those cords, dissolving them, and determining, what do you want to create? What do you want to manifest? So I really love that about this process, because this is what it's been about all along. And I feel this is really a year where the experience of that is going to be a lot more joyful, a lot lighter. There's been so much inner work. There's been so much transforming. We're moving out of into next year, or this year, 2026. Jupiter, retrograding in Cancer right now, has been square to Chiron. So a lot of mother wounds have been coming up, and wounds connected to motherhood. So a lot about the healing of the divine feminine and masculine. So when we look at that Virgo Pisces, that integration of polarity is really about embodying heaven on earth, finding that internal balance that we need in life, recognizing that we're in relationship with creation. It's a relationship that we want balance and harmony with. And it's so easy to have that disrupted by trauma loops, the way we are trying to move through this information age and lots of disinformation and confusion. And really, it's like, wait, what does our mind want? Where are the script writers here? So anyway, the eclipses, along with this axis, amplify that dialogue. They turn up the volume of what the body, mind, and spirit are trying to say. And so the deeper we connect with that, the more we know what our needs are. And like Neil was saying, the wound of the mother is not just tending to the self and giving oneself permission. It's about overly giving at the negation of self. It goes into the depth of the planetary history, the galactic history, how Mother Earth became Mother Earth, deep mother wounds that are actively healing and transforming with the recognition of unconditional love and balance, harmony with the masculine. So our bodies will inform us where alignment is missing. Humans tend to sort of fear symptoms, panic, give that power away. And I really feel that this year, as we reflect on that Virgo energy, the way the mind is talking to the body, can we change the dialogue, understand epigenetics, understand how to switch on our higher potential by speaking it to the cells of our body, to our organs, to the creative channels that Piscean North Node and just that Piscean energy in Neptune is all about. The creative imagination, the multidimensional, the unseen realms, the unconscious that's turning conscious, right? So Saturn and Neptune in Aries, Saturn being the law of structure, is moving out of the inverted Saturn and the dependency bonds, and it's becoming the structure for which the multidimensional can be housed. And this is really about anchoring heaven on earth. This was always what Ascension was about. The only thing that has maybe made it feel delayed is when we just externalize everything, or we gauge where we're at with where the collective is at. And yes, that does play a part, but we are influencing it instead of being at the mercy of what's thrown at us from the outer world. So this isn't about the shadow side of Virgo, although many will visit into that energy, which is self-criticism or fixing what's wrong. It's more about listening. As polarity integrates body and spirit, logic and intuition, effort and surrender, we begin to move out of the constant coping and survival energy and into more coherence. So instead of feeling like something's broken that needs to be fixed, we're simply allowing the greatest part of our divine mind to be recognized and spoken from. And that manifests the spiritual in our everyday life, because it's a way of life. It's not just a belief system. It's an embodiment. So we'll see our lifestyle change, better habits, more healing tools and modalities in our life, putting better food into our body, all that kind of stuff. And making sure that we are in alignment with the work that we do in the world, that it's coming from our spiritual values and integrity, not just for the sake of a paycheck, not relationships because you just want companionship due to codependency, So it's the upgrading that we've all known is what Ascension is all about. So the nervous system, when it moves out of the fight or flight and it moves into just that flow of the divine mind, the higher mind into the body, the nervous system recalibrates. So we really want to treat the nervous system. We've got Uranus and Gemini. We really, really want to be gentle with our nervous systems and ground and meditate and allow that flow of energy to come in. Because when we collapse it and internalize it out of fear of what others might think, it really does a number on us. And it makes it very, very hard to be that light. Instead, it just gets trapped in the body, and it can actually keep trauma loops alive. And a lot of people have felt that panic of, is it okay to be seen? Is it okay to shine my light? Lots of traumas from past lives coming up as well. So astrologically, and I know Raquel is going to get way into it, it's not subtle. It's not chaotic either. It's a year that asks us to grow into our own authority, to align action with truth, and to stop outsourcing our sense of direction, just like our creative imagination. So, growing into our own authority is the higher octave of Saturn. When we move out of inverted Saturn, it's less about what outer authority is telling us, and it's more about what we are determining within ourselves. Where do we need boundaries? Where do we need certain disciplines that help us to thrive versus allowing outer authority to dictate to us what that should be, which very often gives us a feeling of stagnation, energy blocks, suppression, and it tests our patience. We feel like we're restricted. And so those days are over. So one of the biggest influences shaping 2026 also is Pluto fully in Aquarius and the outer planets being in alignment as the Neptune, Saturn are there. And it's beautiful. So on top of this body, mind, spirit integration, all the outer planets are in harmony. The initiations, the growth periods are taking us more into our fullness, more into our wholeness, more into our authenticity, and less into these engineered versions of ourselves, these reactions to psyops, false flags, or just stuff being thrown at us. It's about influencing physical matter, understanding spirit holds dominion over the physical realm. Miracles are going to increase. It's going to be more of a way of being than just something that happens sporadically, or if you're lucky. It's our birthright. So I think relationships are going to improve. Everything's going to improve. We all have a different way of shifting into this as far as what we're processing through, what we're releasing, what we're calling in, what we're embodying, and what we're allowing. And when we harmonize this together and we move out of the divide and conquer or any barriers that keep us from really holding unity consciousness, it's incredible. All the dark weapons begin to dismantle. All the holes that they've tried to poke, in the collective coming together in a more unified way begin to fall away. So how possibly can these dark technologies still function if we're overriding it? And that's what the 13th sign is all about. So as we look at that mother wound, where have we collapsed into this imbalance, this duality, the imbalance between the masculine and feminine within our own body? This is a time of overriding all the dark technology and recognizing that we override it, we collapse it. And when we do that purification work within ourselves, the earth has no choice but to respond. And it's just so beautiful because a platform and a community like Portal to Ascension, we're all doing this together. We're all holding hands in this. We're all sharing very transparently the processes that we go through, what we've learned, the research that we've discovered. So it's so beautiful. And I think my 10 minutes is up, but I just want to say, the horse represents movement, independence, vitality, and freedom. There's nothing that we need to forget that our bodies won't remind us of. And remember, that's why your body signals pain, signals dis-ease. It's an opportunity to get to know yourself better, not a reason to give your power away. There are many, many helpful people out there and doctors and teachers and all sorts of amazing individuals out there that can assist us in this remembrance. But when it strips us from us remembering and being a co-creator in this process, definitely have discernment. So I look forward to all that's ahead. I'm going to be an executive producer of an upcoming movie. I'm excited about Greece and going on this trip and New Living Expo and everything that is coming up with new people that I'm going to meet, new readings that I'm going to do, the community that I've built so far, and the one that I'm enjoying here that doesn't have borders, that is just all about the universal love. So thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Laura. And you're going to be in Glastonbury as well. So we have we're going to be seeing each other in different areas of the world every 3 months this whole year.
I know, it's incredible.
It's freaking awesome. Just to close out what you're saying, I love amazing share. I literally got goosebumps as you were talking. And you're basically sharing, I love what you said is the turning point and the direction becoming clearer. That really makes sense to me because I feel that we need the clarity for the next few years after that, 2027 to 2030. There's so many shifts that happening on the planet, not just with our consciousness evolving, but the UFO stuff happening on the mainstream, AI, quantum computing, industry shifting, right? But what I'm getting from what you're sharing is that now is the time more than ever to become the master and not being at the mercy of the outside world. Moving into a place of empowerment and the God self, and not really blaming the external world for creating our internal turmoil. Would that be
I love
right?
that. Oh my gosh, I just got goosebumps. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, see it as a part of the reclamation. Adversity, dis-ease, discomfort, pain. It's all a part of reclamation and remembrance and embodiment. And it helps us to have the boundaries we need. It helps us to cut the cords. It helps us to, move out of the situations and uh, alliances with anything that perpetuates that or keeps us in a loop, and we are able to come through with a better idea, a better um, timeline. I mean, the timeline is anchored by our thoughts, by what we allow to be reality. The Mercury is the magician. It manifests reality. So we don't want Mercury overtaken by social engineering, fear responses, without having the coherence to guide it into a manifestation of reclamation, to where our higher mind is anchored fully in the physical. And we can never lose the timeline. We never lose it. It's not a danger of that, but we can sometimes feel the quality of our life is suffering because we forget to see the blessing in all of it, and see that these discomforts are bringing us closer to home instead of further away. Sometimes we see it as a misfortune, or somebody else has to solve it, and that's part of the mastery, is that we have it in us to know what to do. We can hold hands, we can support each other, we can be resources, and share good ideas. But ultimately, it's a personal process and achievement, and we win the war on consciousness within, and that is the true victory, when we have that mastery over the body and we're no longer victimized. We are victors.
Yes, Laura, thank you so much. I love you. Thank you for
I
coming here
love
today and
you.
sharing your wisdom. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks. We're going to do an interview on our YouTube. So see you soon.
Yes, okay, wonderful. Happy New Year. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Laura. All right. Beautiful. So thank you to Joan and to Laura. And I love what Laura shared in the end there. She goes like, that one, I would say that part really stood out to me when she said, find the blessing in it all. Right. And it's so easy to, for some reason, we've been wired to look at the negative all the time. My parents, my mom used to say to me when I would tell her about my childhood and all the things that happened, why do you always just remember the negative stuff? It's like that imprint, and so Laura also shared, we're the script writers, and this year is not subtle or chaotic. This is an opportunity. This year is an opportunity. Every year is an opportunity, but the opportunity is presenting itself more than ever now, because we are at the singularity, guys. We're literally at the edge of the black hole, right in the singularity, the event horizon, about to step into the event horizon, into a whole new world. And just put aside the evolution of consciousness for a second. Just linearly looking at the planet and what's going on the planet with technology, governments, wars, all this stuff. Just that up there reality has manifested in here in so many different ways, that no matter what, just by looking at outside, just by engaging with the world and seeing what's happening, the world is shifting. It can't sustain itself like this anymore. It's interesting to me because ultimately everybody wants the same thing. I feel most people, at least, we want love, community, connection. And a lot of, like, you might have read the email I sent out a few days ago, but I really firmly believe that some people are like, oh, that person doesn't want love. Look, he's committing all these crimes, doing all these atrocities, doing all these crazy things. But then if you really look deep down in it, most of those atrocities, crimes, or ill-behaved mannerisms, or whatever it is, actually come from a lack of those things. A lack of love, a lack of being nourished, and a lack of community, right? The number one epidemic in the US, like, has been released, is loneliness, right? People feeling lonely, disconnected, going into deep holes of depression. So it's like we all want that same thing. And so to reach out to ourselves, reach out to others is an important part of all of this. And I'm hopeful that this energy that we continue to create over here is going to permeate through the planet, and we're truly going to create a reality based on unity and peace, transparency, and higher consciousness. So before we get into our next presenter, next guest, Raquel Spring, I just want to take a pause here and let you guys know about what's coming up on Portal to Ascension. So some of you know New Living Expo. I'm going to play the trailer. It's a minute long. We're going to play it in just a second here. Please, guys, if you can make it, I would love to see you there. It's the largest event. I've created around 4,000 events online and in person since 2008. And this is the largest one ever. 3,000 people, 125 exhibitors, 100 speakers, maybe more. And it's going to be in San Rafael, California, April 17th, 18th, and 19th. And we are, I purchased this expo. If you guys don't know the story, I purchased the expo. It's been going on since 2001. Now Portal to Ascension are the new owners, and we're basically moving this into the future. The level of conscious collaboration, in about a week from now, we're doing a YouTube show just like this, but it's going to be called Conscious Collaboration is the Only Way Forward. And we'll be speaking about what that means. The amount of people that are coming together to really be a part of this. You know, we're all doing, a lot of people are doing their own things, but really the energy of inclusion is a much solid frequency than the energy of exclusion, right? And those that claim to be in power, those that claim to know these metaphysical truths, or be these so-called elite, they have this energy of exclusion. That frequency does not sustain. When you come together, when we all know that what we're really doing this for, that's when we can really create some huge shifts on the planet. And that's what, you know, I really wanted to embody with Portal to Ascension for many years now. And the April conference is going to be the epitome of that, like the highest point of that kind of collaboration. So I'll play the trailer in a second. But in the next few days, we have, tomorrow I'm doing this same kind of setup with Billy Carson. Billy and I are going to do a show together on the channel where we're going to talk about 2026 as well. And then after that, we have another free event also on YouTube. Saturday and Sunday, this Saturday and Sunday, we have an 8 hours a day event called the Real Disclosure Conference 2026. It's completely free. You can donate if you want to. Go to portaltoascension.org under upcoming events, sign up there. It's going to be a 2-day event. We're going to broadcast it across all of our platforms. And I'm just enjoying having some fun at the beginning of the year, you know, infusing the timeline with some amazing consciousness. And then on 1/11, we have the Palladians and Arcturians conference. And then we have Geraldine Orozco. We have the Dragons event this year, the Return of the Dragons conference. And then we have an astrology event for the year of the snake ending and the year of the horse coming about. So if you guys are interested in tuning into any of those, go ahead and check it out on our website. And I'm going to play the trailer for New Living Expo, and then we're going to start the second part of our show today with Raquel Spring. So here we go.
The world is changing faster than ever before, and within this evolution, a new consciousness is rising. At the New Living Expo, thousands gather to expand consciousness, explore new conscious technologies, ancient wisdom, and the future of human potential. Immerse yourself in 3 days of heart-expanding wisdom and mind-binding awareness, with over 90 speakers sharing tools to awaken your highest potential. 125 exhibitors, 3,000 attendees, awakened souls unite in one powerful weekend of learning, healing, and connection. Experience transformation, connection, and the next chapter of human evolution. It is time for humanity to awaken. Join us at newlivingexpo.com.
And there we have it, guys. So hope to see you guys there. newlivingexpo.com. Check it out. We'll have the workshops out in a few days. And it is time for humanity to awaken. We've been asleep for so long. If you know anything about the cycles of time, we've been in the Kali Yuga, and even before that, for the last 13,000 years, we've been in this necessary descension process. And now we're at the ascension process. And when I decided to do this event, the first person I thought of and contacted was Raquel Spring, because Raquel is, honestly, she is such an incredible astrologer, but so grounded, so heart-centered, and takes it beyond astrology, in my opinion, really shows you how to use these tools in order to implement in your own life. For the last 3 years now, she's been doing my astrology around my birthday every single year, really giving me a guiding map to navigate my reality and know what to expect. You know, there was a time, guys, that even when I was doing Portal to Ascension around 7-8 years ago, I was anti-astrology. I had astrologers on my platform, but I didn't even believe in it. And because I was seeing that a lot of people victimize themselves to it. Oh, you're a Scorpio, you got to be like this. You're stubborn, aren't you? Oh, you're this person. Oh, this is how you are. That's what I was hearing all the time. And then I started meeting people, and then I started having sessions with Raquel Spring that completely shifted this for me. And when she was giving me specific dates throughout the year, and I had already intuitively planned out specific things in my world, and then I saw that those dates completely aligned with that, with what she had shared with me, my mind was blown. One of the biggest things was she told me I was going to have a business shift, a shift in my business. She told me this about a year and a half ago. Just like 13, 14 months ago. And the shift in the business just so happened that I signed the contract for the New Living Expo on the day she gave me. I was like, what? And that's just one of many things, you know? So anyways, Raquel, I'm going to have her do a little intro on herself when she comes on here, but she's an incredible astrologer, and she's going to give us a guiding map for what we can expect this year. We're going to go into different topics individually and collectively. So everybody, let's welcome Raquel. Hey, Raquel. Mid sip.
Hi, Neil.
Happy
Hi.
New Year.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. Neil, what a beautiful way to spend the first day of the year.
I know, right? Yeah, especially with you, Raquel.
Oh my goodness. I make of your words my own in the beginning when you said you have some of your favorite people here together. This is exactly how I feel. You know, Laura, Joan, you, honestly, I can say you guys are probably on my top 3 favorite people.
Right.
So
Same
I feel
here.
so lucky to open the year with all of you, and of course everyone watching as well, because we're going to dive very deep today into the
We're ready.
2026.
Where do you want to begin, Raquel? Do you want me to? Do you want to just take it away, and then I can jump in every now and
Let me will you be around or
then? Yeah,
just...
I'm here. I'm here, ready to engage at any point.
Okay, wonderful, because I don't know if I might want to pull up the chart depending on how it flows here.
Okay, so I'll let you take it away, and if I have something to share, I'll just jump back on.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you. So hello, everyone. This is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to be together with you today, and Neil as well, Joan, and Laura Eisenhower, who I just respect so, so deeply, and to be spending this first day of the year together. So just giving us a little moment to breathe that in, that gratitude. And gratitude for all of those watching through the replay as well, because I know there are many here that are coming in from the replay. And the purpose of this time together is to take a little look at the energies of 2026 from an astrological perspective. There are many different perspectives and lenses that we can look at the energies from, and mine happens to be astrology. This is where I shine and I come through and I deliver my wisdom. So my name is Raquel Spring, for those that are meeting me for the first time. And I come from a long lineage, at least 4 generations of astrologers and wisdom keepers. And I'm a priestess as well. My mother's lineage comes from that. So I carry this deep wisdom within me in how I look at these energies and how I interpret also what they are communicating. So my gift is to help you understand, to the best of my ability, what these energies are communicating. It's interesting, Neil said something about not really believing in astrology here just now. And it's interesting because when I first started doing this, I was so worried that I was going to get it wrong. And I remember the first few sessions, I was so nervous with looking at the astrological energies in someone's chart and telling them what I saw, because I didn't know if I was getting it correctly. And I was so amazed after every single time validating that it wasn't me. It's not me. I am just reading the data and conveying what it says. So the astrology is a very accurate system for interpreting what I call the cycles. It's very simple. It's not about good or bad, right or wrong, as much as it is about evolution. So if you look at this this story, this life that we have here, as a game, if you will, and a game in the sense that it's all about strategy. It's all about strategy. So astrology helps us understand the strategy, understand the game, understand our place in it all. So it's not necessarily a tool for prediction as much as it is a tool for clarity. And within that space of clarity, we find alignment. So I've developed my own unique understanding and communication with the system of astrology. And I have a full-blown mentorship school and community. Beautiful. We've been together since 2019. We've been together. And so you're welcome to go to my website, raquelspring.com, and check out our membership page. And also, if you would like to be a part of the community, the larger community, this is just sign up for the newsletters. When you sign up for the newsletter, I am starting this year a brand new, beautiful free offering of helping you understand the astrological energies of each week. So these are going to be short 10 to 15 minute audios that are going to be sharing you the bigger perspective and the deeper perspective as well on the energies of every single week. So feel free to sign up. That's free. You just go to my website, raquelspring.com, and you will receive that newsletter with the audios. And the membership is for the closer community that is there to really dive deep and learn and practice and share and receive full-blown guidance and support through this. So right now we are in a period of transition. And I think you've all heard this word many times. And up until then, I primarily worked a lot with my school, this mentorship school that I've had, and also with one-on-one sessions, which, by the way, you're welcome to also book a session with me and have a personal experience of this. But when 2020 came along and the world started to shift, I started then to feel a very deep calling in my heart to help the world understand what was really happening, and then transition through this stage, this whole decade, really. So it was my own whole experience of awakening to a deeper stage of my mission, but it really had to do with helping on a bigger level the world understand our place in this whole entire transition through this language that I use with astrology. So here I am today, and I've been doing this already for many years. So whether you are looking at a public video or part of the community, receiving the newsletters, or even the inner circle of learning and growing together, I welcome you, because I feel like in this space, we really are the deep thinkers and the deep seekers. And I always view people like this as having a little bit more of the advantage in the game, because you get to see just a little bit more. And then you have a little more perspective. So what I'm going to do here today is I'm going to share with you what these astrological energies are for 2026 that I'm looking at. Now, you may have already heard the astrological perspective from other astrologers, and we have, like I said, many different perspectives that are all pretty much saying the same thing. So it's very beautiful that we all get to share and contribute with our own unique voice, and add a little more to the big picture that we are all creating here. So So what I want to do here is I want to take you through the energies of 2026 and looking at first of all, I want to share with you what in my perspective are the biggest energies of 2026, the most important ones in my opinion, and why. Because as I speak about the bigger energies of 2026, I am not only known for giving information, but I also give information on a cellular level. So you may already be feeling or experiencing this now as I speak, that you are maybe feeling a little something, a little tingly something, and a little just kind of spaced out in between worlds and dimensions. And this is where we are communicating. This is our platform where we are having this transmission. And so I'm communicating to you on a cellular level as well. So that as I speak about these energies of 2026, I'm also helping to awaken in you the necessary things that need to be awakened at this time. Because you're going to be preparing for these energies in your year ahead. So the communication that happens in our time together, they are multi-layered. And they happen in many channels. So to whatever capacity you are ready and willing to pick up the message, let's begin. And the overview is then going to take us into a kind of sweep through the months and the different energies of 2026. Now, if you want a deeper dive, if you want to know more about what this means, I have a lot of material already, deep dives in every single thing that I'm going to bring up today and more. I'm also going to be guiding my community and the membership especially through these energies every week, every month as well with the programs that we have. So let's begin by just feeling into where we're at now, because we are speaking about where we're at now on a physical level, but most important, we're speaking about where we're at now on a spiritual level. And to me, I prefer the word evolutionary, because evolutionary, it can be beyond spiritual, if you will. So we are expanding now our view of reality. We are expanding our view of spirituality too. And this is something that I think is pretty obvious by now, but we definitely want to just relax into that knowing that everything is shifting. All of our paradigms are shifting. And we go through this process approximately every 2,000 years as a collective in this way, where like the whole entire planet as one collective consciousness is shifting gears together. Now, individually, of course, that means many things, but just from an overall collective perspective, we are receiving. It's like, think of yourself as a phone or a computer, and that is being put to charge. It's being plugged into the wall and it's being put to charge. Now, we are being charged, but there's only one difference. The voltage that is coming in happens to be a little bit intense, and it happens to come through a little bit faster than the technology here is used to receiving. So the voltage coming in, literally the voltage of energy coming in, is more than we've ever experienced before. So every 2,000 years, we go through these massive shifts of paradigms. But this one here is unique in its own way. One of the primary factors is that it is built through the lens of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius. Now, Aquarius, unlike what most people think, that the symbol of Aquarius means water, but it doesn't. It actually means energy. and the frequency, the bandwidth, the frequency of the energy waves. It's the waves of energy. So this is us being plugged directly into the socket and receiving a voltage greater than our bodies can handle, pretty much. So that is one perspective. That is one way of looking at it. We also have the planetary perspective of what is happening with Gaia and the shifts that she's going through, and how we naturally, by law, have to adjust to match her. You know, and the whole war that we're having here is really the war with ourselves, because we keep trying to disconnect from our bodies and Gaia, and that doesn't work, because this vessel is her. So there's the planetary changes as well. Then there's, of course, the solar system changes that are, we're going to talk about this today too. And then, of course, the galactic and so forth. So there's many different levels of this shift that is all happening together. But when we look at us from an individual perspective, it's like we are receiving a boost to open our mind, for lack of a better word. It's not our mind as in our brain. And that's where the big shock is, because this is really about our awareness is expanding to an extent that has never happened before. So this has never happened before. The energy, the amount of energy coming in at once, this upgrade, this collective upgrade, and the amount of the consciousness boost that we are receiving at once, this is very Aquarius. This is one of the characteristics of Aquarius. So a lot of people are in a state of shock, feeling disoriented. There is a lot of information overload that is happening. If you resonate with this on any capacity, just know that I'm very aware of, some of the main themes that people are going through right now. And they just happen to be very, very similar themes. And one of them is it's like this information overload. This acceleration of information that's been coming in from all direction, all the way from having videos be from 30 minutes to like 5 minutes. Now it's 30 seconds. Now it's 2 seconds. And just with the introduction of AI and technology and everything, I mean, it's just insane. So, and it's just beginning. So the information overload is definitely a part of the process. It's not going to go away. And I think that, I make reference to this, to this reality right now being like a game. And when I say that, I want you to look at everything from a very neutral perspective. So this is about strategy, and this is about making smart decisions. And one of them with the information overload is we have to let just everything go, because you are recreating your reality right now. And 2026 is such a pivotal year to launch you into the future. So the biggest challenge that I personally see is the challenge of people feeling so confused. And also, of course, there's this loss of identity and this loss of direction and loss of purpose that is happening right now. But it's only because we are having a collective, massive, massive shift. So with that being said, I'm going to share with you that, first of all, this is not going to change. I already said this. Those of you that are waiting for things to go back to the way they were before, they're not going to. As a matter of fact, the people that are going to thrive in this 2026 and beyond are the people that are going to embrace change. It's so important. Anyone that has fear or is trying to hold on or is looking at what is leaving, it may feel overwhelming. Your experience may be overwhelming, because 2026 onward, things are going to accelerate at a very, very high speed. So one of the most incredible things that I've noticed about 2026 is that aside from Pluto, by the way, he is the furthest planet in our solar system. That's just way out there in the outskirts, almost like the guardian of the solar system. And aside from Pluto, who's been paving the way in Aquarius for this whole movement, you know, Pluto entering Aquarius was just a catalyst saying, okay, let's get on with the age of Aquarius now. So Pluto has been there just for a couple years, leading and paving the way for this. Every single planet of our solar system is changing signs in 2026. Okay? Including Chiron. Now, Chiron is not a planet, but he is definitely earning his badge in the category, in the seat, let's just say, in the seat of the gods. As a matter of fact, Chiron is his story, his archetype. He is half god, half human. And Chiron is such a special archetype because he is bringing the new reality to us. Chiron was discovered in 1977, and that's very, very recent. So Chiron is shifting signs together with the solar system. What does that mean? Well, it means two things. Number one, wow, that we have a whole entire collective upgrade, a solar system upgrade. Okay, this is rare. Number two, Chiron is not just entering a new sign, but Chiron is returning to the same sign as he was when he was discovered in 1977. So it takes Chiron about 50 years, okay, 49 to 52 years, for Chiron to go all the way around and return to any given spot. So the spot where Chiron was discovered was 3 degrees of Taurus, right in the beginning, 3 degrees of Taurus. And next year, no, we're already in January 1st. This year, we have the first Chiron return. So not only we're going through this solar system upgrade together, but the fact that Chiron is also changing a sign, which is pretty rare, but he is also returning. He's having a return the same way that Saturn has a return, the sun, the solar return, the sun has its return. Chiron has a return, and it takes about 50 years. This is the very first collective Chiron return that we will be experiencing. This will be catalyzing in 2027. So I actually see 2026 and 2027 as just, they go hand in hand. They're like twins. And we need to look at 2026 as a very crucial year, because whatever we set into motion along with this year of the fire horse, it's going to, like a rocket, it's going to go. And it's going to keep going into 2026, 2027, and then even beyond. So just to wrap up here about Chiron, Chiron is one of the biggest energies, in my opinion, of 2026, because the fact that not only Chiron is entering a new sign with everyone, but he's also approaching his very first return ever is really, really, really important, because a return brings a new cycle and a new phase. That means that as a collective, we are getting ready to experience a new cycle and a new phase with our wounds. Chiron. But Chiron, remember, is also half god. His father was a god and his mother was a mortal. And Chiron really symbolizes that bridge between both. You know, the 3D world, the human world, and what's beyond. So Chiron really came in many ways to help us to help us move beyond the 3D world and into a wider perspective of reality. I have a lot to say on Chiron. I have a very soft space in my heart for Chiron right now because I have been really tuning into him. Chiron has been speaking to me. That's how the planets, they just decide to, like, okay, I'm next. And I never know who or when. But Chiron has been definitely in my radar for, I'd say, at least a year and a half to 2 years. And now coming into 2026, I understand a little more deeply why. But I know I'm going to be doing a lot more with this energy and helping us with the transition as well with the new cycle of Chiron. So I will be doing events on this as well and sharing a lot of information with my community and maybe here with Portal to Ascension as well. So just stay tuned for that. But it's just important for you to get a little tiny taste that Chiron, he is like the master, yes, the master healer, because we do hear a lot about Chiron as being the wounded healer. And he is also the master healer, but he is also the one that is giving us permission to step into a new paradigm. And so when Chiron was discovered in 77, it really opened up a whole new stage for what we call today the metaphysical community. And even astrology kind of came back into the picture at around that time. Many systems got revived and many different modalities, especially in regard to health and wellness. A lot of practitioners started to come into the scene, and more we just started to see people branch out from the stereotype forms of teaching or the conventional systems for teaching, and also medicine, which is what Chiron is known for. So we are going to see definitely a new cycle for these. I definitely see a new phase for science and spirituality with Chiron's return. And of course, the metaphysical, science and spirituality, which is the metaphysical. So this is going to gain momentum, and we're going to enter a new phase, including of astrology. And all the systems and all these modalities are going to come into a whole new stage. And I will say here, since we're talking about Chiron, that one of the biggest, in my opinion, one of the biggest purposes right now of Chiron coming into this return at this time is to help us transition from what I wrote here. He is helping us transition from the physical to energy. Now that's a mouthful right there. Yes, this is part of the bigger cycle, the next 2,000 years that we are very slowly migrating into, even though it feels very fast. It's actually just the very beginning of a whole 2,000 plus year cycle. This is going to be a new reality. So we're going to see the world in a new way. Part of the energy overload that we feel is because we are not used to interacting with energy in this way. So all the things that used to be considered woo-woo out there are now going to start to not only gain more momentum, but also validation, scientific validation and just start to receive a lot more credit and be used in professional ways too. So I think this is going to be incorporated a lot more into our education. But to be able to understand energy and things as energy is so imperative, because this is one of the big shifts that we are heading toward in this coming year. 2026 is when, like I said, all the planets are changing signs. And part of these are the group of the outer planets they're the slowest moving planets. And this is Pluto, Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus. And these three planets, the outer planets, they're all shifting signs as well. Pluto's already in Aquarius, and this is going to contribute a great deal to the acceleration of energy, especially when Uranus enters Gemini. This is going to be very important because even though Pluto has been in Aquarius, he's been laying low. He's been waiting for his time. He's been waiting for Uranus to enter Gemini, which is going to be now in 2026. And this is now going to give Pluto the momentum he needs. Because Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini, they're both revolutionizing the air signs. Our identity as energy is going to become predominant. And also our interaction with reality. Our whole entire government and systems are going to start to go through shifts, drastic shifts, to reflect this upgrade that we're going through as a solar system. So, it's not going to happen from night to day. And as a matter of fact, if we're looking at the governments right now, honestly, there's not a lot of hope out there. But I actually see that as a good thing, because the same aspect that I'm speaking about energy, Gemini and Aquarius, they're very much about energy. And we're going to be seeing an emphasis in energy and reality, and how do we look at life and interact with life through that lens. We're also going to be receiving a whole new stage of governance as well through this new model. Now, the same energy of Aquarius and Gemini are also the energy of people. And why am I saying this? Because if we're looking at the structures out there and the current leadership out there, there's not a lot of hope, and we don't have to sugarcoat things. Honestly, if we're really honest here, we might be looking at a world war, another one. So it's important to also understand that there's many ways that we are going to collectively go through this transition. The most important thing is how you carry yourself through this. This is what matters. There's certain things you can't stop, you can't change, and it's not about that. There's certain landmarks and there's certain aspects of the game that are already set in place. So it's not what happens to you, but it's how you go through the process that makes a difference. So the reason why the leadership of the world is crumbling and falling apart is because this is no longer the era for that model. We are moving from a lot of, let's say, centralized power to decentralized power. And that is a very key thing to understand, especially with Pluto. Uranus and Gemini is just going to assist this, because Uranus and Gemini is going to look for every possible way to connect and communicate and interact and network. And it's going to be so supportive to the energy of Aquarius, which really is the ultimate humanitarian. So I think this is really the phase where we're seeing, we spoke a lot about, Laura spoke a lot about this as well, about moving away from the victim. To me, this is represented a lot in the energy of Leo this year, because this year we're going to see the South Node move into Leo. Now, there's going to be a massive battle of egos, if you will, especially with Jupiter there. Jupiter and the South Node both together in Leo is going to bring a lot of the shadow side of power and a lot of the shadow side of ego. But this is only so we can be driven to the opposite of Leo is Aquarius, which is not only where Pluto is at, but it's also where the North Node is heading toward. Now, what's the big deal about that? Really plain and simple, very briefly. I usually spend a long time with the lunar nodes, but I'll just be very brief, because the lunar nodes are like the most important thing ever in astrology. I always say that any chart would not exist without the lunar nodes, because the lunar nodes literally indicate what that chart is all about and why it even exists. So the lunar nodes are like the starting point and the ending as well of every single chart. And the lunar nodes, they carry themselves, they have their own cycle, and they will stay in a sign for a year and a half until they change into the next sign. And so this year, 2026, we are going to see the transiting lunar nodes. They're going to shift signs. Now, they do that every year and a half, so it's just part of the process. But everyone is very unique. Everyone is contributing to the bigger vision of the year. Now, the lunar nodes, they really have the final say. They give meaning and perspective to any chart. So if you want to understand a lot of what's happening in 2026, look at the lunar nodes. And to me, that is one of the other, I said I was going to talk about the most important shifts of 2026. So one is Chiron moving into Taurus, coming back into its original sign of discovery. Then we have, this Aquarius energy that Pluto is already in, but the North Node is coming into in this year of 2026. And so this is going to bring a really strong evolutionary focus into Leo and Aquarius. So as the lunar nodes shift every year and a half, they also become the focal points of eclipses. The eclipses, they happen near the lunar nodes or on the lunar nodes. So the eclipses, they work together. The eclipses, they are like the things that power, the moments that the lunar nodes power up. And that merely is speaking about evolution. Where are we as a collective heading toward in our evolutionary cycle? And what's next on the menu? So what's next on the menu in 2026 is the shift of the lunar nodes into Leo and Aquarius, being that the South Node will be in Leo and the North Node in Aquarius. With this shift, there's going to be, with the South Node in Leo, it's also going to coincide with Jupiter in Leo. It is going to bring an enormous focus on leadership and power. And when I was working on the astrology of 2026, the words just kept coming like so vividly into my field, saying the rise and fall of great leaders. The rise and fall of great leaders. Now, this is going to, technically begin mid-year, around July. And it's an energy that is so big that I will say our whole year is going to revolve around this, but it won't just be about this year alone. It is only going to technically begin in mid 2026, but it's going to determine our 2027 and then the rest of the decade too. This is where we have to be very much in our hearts and also really praying for the leadership of the world, because the ego with the South Node in and Jupiter in Leo, the ego tends to get inflated. But with the South Node there, this is about the parts of the ego that need to go. And if we had more time, I would go deeper into this, because this actually has to do with the age of Leo. So this is actually just the mirror stage that we are in, and healing the mirror reflection that we are now in the age of Aquarius, and we are now having to heal the ego, because the mismanagement of ego back in the age of Leo was what led to the downfall of Atlantis at the time. So it really is like this work together now. And basically this whole new phase of South Node and Jupiter and Leo is to help us become aware of any shadow ego And it's interesting because I wrote here in my notes that there's going to be a recalibration of the masculine and feminine. And Laura Eisenhower was emphasizing this as the integration of polarity. Now, she was referring to the nodes in Virgo and Pisces, but I thought it was fascinating how this energy is here, the download as well. This integration of polarity and masculine and feminine is going to be massive, because with the South Node in Leo, it's going to have us all really come to term with a lot of old patriarchal energies that are no longer going to work for us. Whether you're a man or a woman, whether you are a leader or whether it doesn't matter. This is about the energy of I'm right and I have to prove it. That bully energy, or that, that the shadow of Leo is really that I am the one and only. Okay. And we're going to see a lot of the world battling that out there. But inward, for us personally, it's very important to take this into consideration and treat this with the utmost respect, because the decisions you make this year in 2026 are really going to shape how your rest of the decade is going to look like. And this shadow of the masculine and the ego energy needs to come up right now. So there will be people and countries that may be mismanaging this energy of ego. And especially with Saturn moving into Aries, there's so much potential for the shadow of ego to be coming out. So we want to be very, very mindful of this. And then after the South Node is done with Leo, remember I said that the nodes, they stay about 1.5 years in each sign. When it's done with Leo, it's going to move into Cancer, which is the feminine. So there's a really deep reset that is happening right now with the masculine and feminine energies. But starting with the Leo, I think this is very important, because this is really where we get to connect directly with that age of Leo, the Atlantis time, where we misused technology. See, that was the shadow of the mirror opposite, which is Aquarius. And the age of Leo, they misused technology. So that's why they had the outcome they did. And so now here we are, 12,000 years later, beginning the mirror reflection of Leo, and now having to look at the opposite side, which is the misuse of power. And that godlike, that sense of godlike, like I'm right and, fuck everybody else. This is really a time to look at our place in the cosmos. And there's a reason why Pluto's in Aquarius. And there's a reason why now the North Node is coming into Aquarius as well. As a matter of fact, the very first eclipse of 2026 is going to be in Aquarius. So it really is the beginning of a new paradigm. And this is the paradigm of decentralized power. So 2026 is finally the year where we have the green light from the universe, from the cycles. Now is the time to look into the future. It hasn't been up until now. Even 2025, we had a little taste, but it wasn't quite the time yet. But now, as we go into 2026, we are fully in a new astrological paradigm. And that's quite significant, especially when we look at the rest of the energies that are, happening simultaneously. It's serious. It's real. It's real. So just touching base a little bit, Neil, are you still with me?
Yeah, I'm definitely with you.
I want to make sure if there's any comments or questions before I continue.
There's quite a few, but I'll just say one here. First of all, love what you said. Rise and fall of great leaders, mid-July. Definitely really resonated with me. Someone in the room, Ethereal Architect, said that hit me too. And yeah, it's time for new leaders, right? And it's time for leaders that also do the inner work, that are not coming from the ego, the power control, or from the wounded self, And that ties into what you said about the reset. I love the way you framed that. Masculine and feminine reset. That's something I haven't heard in that way before. And it is like just it's a reboot for both of those energies. And one last comment here, what you just shared is now is the time to look into the future. And that really resonates because if we look at just the last few years, just like pre-COVID up until now, a lot of what had occurred was based on past trauma wounds and unresolved energies of the past, unresolved leaders, including leaders taking over different areas of different governments in the world, being a byproduct of the traumas that were created before, or the anger and or the what's the word? I guess the unhappiness of the constituents, in different countries, whether it's Israel, whether it's the U.S. or whatever, and so we've in essence been dealing with those past wounds, and now that a lot of that stuff's come to the surface, including atrocities, in the world, Epstein files and things like that. Now that all that stuff has come to the surface, it's like, okay, guys, we're still dealing with it, we're still healing with it, but let's start envisioning this future. And even though we talk about the future, a lot of people are still stuck on like the shock factor of what has happened in the past.
Yes. What you're saying is key, Neil, because I feel like these are the people that are going to move through 2026 and keep going, because there is a factor right here where we have to decide to let that story go. Okay. And it's also in a very practical level. It's going to involve family members. It's going to involve friends. It's going to involve, aspects of your life that you have to be okay with just letting everything move on and really being clear about your place in it all and in the future. Because the whole secret here with the North Node moving into Aquarius, it's going to officially give us that energetic and physical momentum to step into the future. And the future is all about unity. The Aquarius paradigm is all about getting together, whoever you have around, whether whether you're part of a great. I'm having a little bit of feedback here. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm having a little bit of echo.
I hear you, fine.
Whether you're talking about, being in a government position, or you talk about getting your neighborhood together or doing an online, this is about people finding the solution. And that was like my point of like the leadership in the world is not working. If we're here sitting around, sitting in our asses and just criticizing and hoping that something's going to change, let's wake up. That's part of the Chiron return, where the wounded healer is now waking up, that we don't need to even be healing anymore. Now it's time for action. It's time for sovereignty. And it's not waiting around and criticizing, but it's about finding the people that are in alignment, coming together and finding the solutions. That's what Aquarius is all about.
There's this YouTube channel called How to Beast, and it's I watch this channel, and it's like it's for men, and it's for like men embodying like whether it's working out, different things like that. And he just released a video 2 days ago saying, and the title, kind of clickbaity, is Why I'm Quitting Self-Improvement. That was the title, okay? And he spoke in it. He didn't really say he's quitting self-improvement, but he was talking about the endless cycle of healing that we get stuck with it, and we're never good enough, and we're always focusing on that. And if-then statements. If I do this, this, and this, then I can feel better. Like this. And even though there's things that can assist us, a lot of times you could be stuck in that loop. And from me personally, from a person that was deeply traumatized from my childhood, and the reason why I created Portal to Ascension was looking for healing. But then it continued on and on and on, where, tens of thousands of dollars later, hundreds of thousands of dollars later, on some element, all these types of different modalities and healing tools. And then looking back and seeing like, well, good 90% of them never worked, but it was because I felt I wasn't worthy enough. I went ahead and did things that I knew deep down maybe I shouldn't, So my theme for this year, I'm not saying it's for everybody, one thing is that I'm not going to fall down the rabbit hole of self-help anymore.
Beautiful. Oh, I love that, because I always say that even healing can be a trap, and there's a lot of people that are addicted to healing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'll just
That's
ask you one more question and you can get back into it, Raquel. Pluto, I heard, has a shadow self kind of element to it all. Maybe you can speak a little more on what Pluto actually represents. Is it the shadow? And does Aquarius represent like liberation and freedom? So are we in essence moving the shadow into a liberated sign, or what does that mean exactly?
Oh, absolutely. That's such a great question. All the planets, they can be expressed in their shadow, or in their wholeness, in their wisdom, in their power. And I think that, like, just knowing this, like, all planets will have a shadow expression, and they will have their full potential as well. Um, it's important to understand that. So, of course, like any planet, Pluto has its shadow. Now, the planets are all parts of us in our personality. They are associated with different aspects of us, and Pluto, he is the deepest psychological factor, that part of us that is like in battle, right? The all or nothing, the do or die, the compulsion and obsession, and these very deep psychological and then emotional spaces that we find ourselves in. But that's because the function of Pluto is Pluto is the core planet of evolution. So Pluto will initiate the most intense transformations that we can experience in the zodiac. All the outer planets, Uranus and Neptune, they're pretty big as well. But there's just something about Pluto, because Pluto represents death and rebirth. So that's just the language that Pluto operates, is death and rebirth. Pluto can work in a very deep way. Even when he is integrated and whole, he definitely is a very intense force. And it is the number one evolutionary force in a chart. So if we're looking at the collective, it's very significant that Pluto has been the first one. It could have been any of the other planets, but Pluto is the first one to pave the way for this new reality in Aquarius, being that Pluto is the all or nothing planet of transformation. So what we do is, the way that I do it is I look at what is the intention of each planet. So, for example, Pluto is death and rebirth and evolution. And then I see, well, what does a planet of death and rebirth and evolution would want in Aquarius? How does he want to bring death and rebirth and transformation? So this is where now we can look at Pluto in Aquarius and how it would express itself. So Aquarius is a very, very, very radical sign. He's all about like forward thinking, think AI, think technology. Pluto in Aquarius is all about transforming our understanding of energy, which also translates into new solutions for green energy. So we're going to start to see, solar power and many different other types of power become widely available to us, where energy is going to be free. And even our understanding of this aspect of energy and bringing that into our society is going to shift so much of our interaction with the world. So there is a very strong relationship with power. Okay, Pluto and Aquarius and power is just really, really strong. So one of the shadows of this would be the misuse of power. Now, Aquarius, because Aquarius has to do with energy, it also brings in, one of the shadow is the atomic, let's say, volatility, or just like weapons or different, honestly, with Pluto and Aquarius, there's a lot of new weapons right now where we're moving out of the physical, the age of the physical, and into more of the age of the energy. So the age of the energy is going to, bring a lot of, even when we're looking at wars and weapons, we're looking at a different way. It's going to be a whole different language where there might not be all the loud explosions, but definitely there is a lot of power struggles that are happening in the air space, in the air we breathe, in the frequencies that are sent through our brain waves, and just a lot of stuff happening in these fields. So that's another shadow side of Pluto in Aquarius. Aquarius is very volatile, so it can definitely speak to a lot of rebellion as well. A lot of volatility within people, where people are, one of the shadow sides of Aquarius is where Aquarius thinks they're right, and they're so radical, they become fanatical about something, and they will not listen to anything else. So just like any sign, Aquarius has that aspect, that shadow, where it will not listen to anything or anyone else. I honestly think one of the biggest shadows of Aquarius is the shadow side of technology. And that is absolutely one of the most important ones we need to be on the lookout for, because I think that we've already messed up 12,000 years ago in that sector with technology. So we are walking a very fine line here. And it will be interesting to see where things head from here on out with that. Does that help explain a little bit, Neil? With the shadow of Pluto and Aquarius?
It 100% does. Does each planet have a positive polarity and a negative polarity, negative expression? When it comes to your individual chart or the collective, like you're doing now, if one planet goes into whatever house, like when you do my readings, is there a challenge that could be actually approached in a negative way that could actually affect me in that way, right, if I don't see the opportunity for what it is?
100%. That's why, again, I use that metaphor of the game. This life is very much like a game, and astrology just helps us understand the game and create strategy around it. So that's exactly what I do when I sit down to do one-on-one sessions. And like in your case, Neil, when we look at your chart, is I look and I see how are these energies interacting with you, and what are the different possibilities that are available to you here. So yes, some are going to be shadow, even with the trine. Okay. So yes, some of them will be shadow, and some of them will be gifts. And, at the end of the day, they're all gifts, but we want to come into a point of integration. So this is where we can't use astrology for prediction, because nothing is predicted. Everything is available as an option. So the way I explain it is we have certain landmarks, and those are the predictions, if you will, as we can determine the landmarks. Then what I do is I sit with you and I say, well, what's happening right now in your space? What is the highest probability right now? And then we kind of match, we create an alignment with the cycles you're in and the highest potential for that and what you're going through. So what you're going through is always going to match your chart, always. There's no way around it. But it's always about maximizing and making the best use of it. So Pluto and Aquarius is available for everyone, but it's really how everyone is using that creates that individual connection with the game. So, yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that the way we react to these specific alignments, let's say cosmic celestial dates, right? These alignments that are happening for us, the way we react to it will dictate on what is actually going to occur to us, whether we coming from a place of fear, or say that we have some financial challenges coming about, and or something financial in our chart. I don't think it ever tells you you have a challenge. It's more like the energy of finance is important right now. And then you have this fear around scarcity, and then you project that onto that specific cosmic appointment, and then it could affect you negatively. Or you come to a deeper level of trust and inner knowing of yourself, self-worth, so that you could navigate it properly. So maybe you could provide some tools then on what we could do to navigate and not be reactory towards it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I did actually write some tips over here, because these are very unique energies we're navigating. So before I share the tips, I'm going to just take you through a very brief sense of what we're looking at here in 2026, so you can understand the landmarks. Since we use that word, we can understand the landmarks of 2026. So the 2026, I basically, when I studied, I've spent God knows how many hours studying the alignments, but also I sense through the communication that is coming through those alignments. So there's a lot of work that goes in bridging those two fields. And when I look at the energies, when I sense the energies, I see there's three divisions basically of the year of 2026. And the first one is the one that we're in now. We are coming into 2026 with everything. And that's the first stage. The first stage is a very exciting stage. Neil, honestly, I think I told you this when we had our last session together. And I've been telling everybody, look, this is the exciting time of the whole year. Like, if you do not miss this golden opportunity. The energies right now are so exciting. And we are not going to live through another window like this in 2026. Okay. This is a very special window. And I just want to emphasize that so we can take things seriously and also take action. What do I mean by take things seriously? At this stage, right now where we're in a very lucky place, because at this stage, we have had everything in place come into place that we needed to have clarity. We did go through a period since 2020 of just feeling lost and confused and shattered and who am I and where am I and all of that. And we're still very much in that because we're in the transition. But there is something about this window right now, December, January, February, March, and even April. In April, things are going to start to shift a little bit. But up until spring, we have a very exciting time because at this stage, there's clarity. Okay, around a lot of things. Don't need to have clarity over everything, but trust the clarity you do have. Okay, even the things that you are not quite certain about, that you're like, I don't know, even that, it doesn't matter what it is. At this time right now, if I were to sit with you and ask you to start making a list and naming what are the things that are alive in your field, whether it's tough decisions you have to make or whether it's new beginnings, it doesn't matter. If you had to put it on paper or tell me what would be your instinctive truth around each one of them right now, like without thinking? Because sometimes when we give it too much thought, there's all the excuses, the pros, cons. So just without thought, what is your instinctive truth right now around that? Maybe time's up. Maybe you have to move on. Maybe you have to take action in a certain direction. So trust your truth, trust your clarity, even if it's delicate and difficult, even and especially if it takes a certain degree of courage that you may feel you may not have fully yet. Trust. Okay, I'm saying these things because I speak with a lot of people from around the world, and these are just some of the themes that are very alive right now. So right now, the level of clarity is there, period. Don't second guess yourself. If you've been giving this some time and some space, and you're still facing this issue, then just trust in that instinctual truth of yours. Because as we open the year, we start with everything, and it's very, very exciting. You may feel right now a sense of excitement, a sense that like that horse, the year of the fire horse, is ready to just gallop away, as Neil was saying, and just go for it. This is because we are ready, and we are also preparing for a new paradigm. Like I said, 2026 is brand new energies. Many of us are venturing into brand new things this year, 2026. And whereas in 2023, 2024, and even 2025, I was still cautioning everybody's like, look, don't worry if it all doesn't go, doesn't happen at once. It's not quite time yet. This year is different. Finally, this year is different. So this sense, there is an intuition about it. There is an inner knowing that everything is ready, that everything is done, and we are ready for the future. So it's this excitement plus with the readiness and the willingness that we're all experiencing to step forward and just do our thing. So there's a lot of new ideas right now that are brewing, a lot of new partnerships. The energy right now is so good. Okay. And I'm just speaking from a general overall perspective, but overall, the energies to move forward and the momentum are there and they're real. And we have not experienced anything like this in God knows how long. Okay, I am so serious right now. So as an astrologer, please, 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 please take my word for this window right now, January, February, March, even April for many people. They're golden windows of just go, capital go. Now, it does not mean bully your way through. Please be very mindful, because by mid-year, we're going to start to experience the Chiron themes. And this is going to lead into a whole other sector of the year, but you don't want to do anything in the old masculine way, okay? Remember, the masculine energy is going to be coming up to the fore. Even within women, this is going to be, there's going to be a recalibration of the masculine and the feminine. So a big focus and attention on the masculine, especially with Jupiter and Leo. So go, go, go. There is a very powerful energy in February where the father energy wakes up. This is especially with Saturn coming into Aries. Neptune is also coming into Aries, but this is, I feel like a whole different video could be made just on this. But Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries, they are contributing to the whole shift of paradigm. The ultimate intention of Saturn and Neptune in Aries is to bring a new spiritual paradigm that has to do with embodiment. And I'll leave it at that for now, but that's basically what Saturn and Neptune have been up to as they have been wrapping up Pisces, okay? And now we're moving into Aries. It's what I've been calling this very wake up energy. You're waking up out of this slumber from Pisces and into poof, a new beginning with Aries. Now, there's a lot of potential to misuse that energy because it's still in the very beginning stages. So if you are naive around this, there can be a lot of ego conflicts around here. So we want to be very, very aware. Do not waste your time and energy. To me, this is not about proving anything. It's not about fighting your way through. At this stage, we're done convincing. I think that it's already clear, everybody who, has found their alignments. And I think that at this time, it's about conserving your energy and then using it wisely. That's it. That's it. So in February, the father energy wakes up, and I see this as a really special gift to help us move even further, get even more disciplined with ourselves and the things that we need to now focus on. But again, the shadow side, like we spoke here, Neil, the shadow side with Saturn and Aries, especially on a world level, here's where we want to really pray for the leadership of the world, because we really need balance right now. And a Saturn in Aries is not known for that. Saturn in Aries is like the biggest boss of the zodiac, and that's going to be waking up very strong. So it wakes up, and we are going to be ready to move. By March, there is just like a full force, especially with the equinox. There is a push to move forward. So very exciting energies as we begin the year. In April is a great time to launch as well. Launching energies in March and April. Really any time right now is fabulous. But I really do love April because at that stage, we're going to have Jupiter direct as well. And so the big thing about April is that as we reach the end of April, the energies start to shift. April 23rd, 24th, 25th. And now we prepare for the second segment of 2026. And this is a very interesting one. very interesting one. So we have from about, and I'm just going to say June, July, okay, even though technically, astronomically, it starts at the end of April. In May, I wrote here the first big jolt. We get the first big jolt in May because the energies are preparing to shift. And then by June and July, we really start to see things shift. Now, the reason why I wrote the big jolt and big shifts is because we are having what, in my opinion, is the most important energy of 2026. The most important energy of 2026. And that's going to be, in my opinion, because the lunar nodes are everything in a chart. They are everything. They are your dates with destiny, okay? Your points of destiny, past, south node, future, north node. And the transiting lunar nodes are going to highlight a T-square with Uranus by June. So whenever the lunar nodes, they form a T-square with any planet, they put that planet on the spot. It's almost like everything else goes silent and all eyes and all lights are on that planet in the middle. So it brings a very serious tone to that planet. It's like that planet is being observed and looked at, and there's a certain level of accountability that is required from that planet, because there is a threshold right over here with your past and the future. So it really depends on what planet is in the middle to determine what the focus is. What is so important that the past and the future are stopping everything, stopping time to focus on that planet. Uranus is that planet. Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, the big maverick of the zodiac, the misfit, the rebel, the new paradigm bringer. Uranus is a planet that is associated with the sign of Aquarius. And Uranus is going to come in that T-square with the lunar nodes, another very rare configuration. And it puts on the spot that in that moment with destiny, number one, another landmark for the age of Aquarius. Okay, because this to me is going to be working in tandem with the North Node moving into Aquarius. So it really is heralding a new stage of this Aquarius movement that we're in. And then the other thing about Aquarius is that Aquarius, all the planets, like I said, they have their own characteristics, and Uranus is very volatile. Uranus is known for being the great awakener. So I often feel Uranus in close association with timeline shifts. Why? Because Uranus is known for bringing unexpected events. A shift of direction, a shift of timelines, a sudden anything. So you have this really powerful energy of sudden change that is being highlighted in the middle of the year by the nodes of destiny. So these are the landmarks in place. And so this here to me is the biggest energy of the year. Of course, every single energy, astrological energy, is super pivotal and important. But to me, the reason why I think this one is the most important one is because of what it heralds, what it signals. It literally stops everything in its tracks. And I know that from that mid part of the year, there's something very, very, very important that we are moved into. So this is where we start to look at the landmarks, and you can expect some sort of timeline shift to occur between May to, there's different stages of this. Honestly, it would go till 2028, I think. But there's one important stage from, I would say, May for some people, June, July for most, until September. Now, this stage over here is also, I've been seeing a lot of the planets, the outer planets are going to shift and become very active in July. So the outer planets, they represent the greater evolutionary forces within our psyche and our, our team and other dimensions. So there is going to be a big movement in these other dimensions. When that happens, for example, in July, there's a big shift. So many planets are going through shifts and becoming active. It's only a matter of time before that becomes physicalized as physical experiences. So I see June and July as very much this moment of being suspended, where the earth is like rumbling and shaking and all these shifts and timeline shifts. And I even wrote in my newsletter how I've been sitting with this Uranus in a T-square with the lunar nodes for at least 6 months now. And every time I ask, what is this? What is this? It's such a rare and intriguing configuration. I keep seeing that vision of Dolores Cannon's work of the splitting of worlds. So regardless of how it happens, there's something very powerful about this mid-section here of the year where we are going to go through some really big shifts. So a lot of it has to do with the new paradigm shifts. And then finally from October, in October, we have what is also one of the most important energies of this year, a Venus retrograde. Now, the Venus retrograde will be working hand in hand with Chiron return, which is a new phase for our healing, even our relationship to healing, our understanding of healing is all being recycled and we're having a reset there. Well, Venus rules Taurus, where Chiron is moving into. And when Venus goes retrograde, she will just happen to, out of the whole entire zodiac, she's going to go on a retrograde opposing Uranus. So, I'm sorry, not Uranus, Chiron. So Chiron is on one side, Venus is on another side, and Venus and Chiron will create an exact opposition 3 times, really, really having us dive deep with our hearts, with our values. This is going to be a whole new stage of embodiment. We hear this word a lot, but Taurus is the #1 sign of embodiment. So this is really a time of understanding our relationship to our body in a new way as well. So the end of the year, October, November, December, is going to revolve a lot around, the values aspects. And remember, when we're looking at the bigger picture of all of this, we're really looking at paving the way for a new reality. So coming to terms with our values is very important because, like Neil was saying, it's amazing how so many people, they hold on to the old, or they try to persist with a certain relationship or in a certain scenario that is no longer needed. So it's very important to be mindful and really listen. Even though it's the year of the fire horse, if there was one tip that I could give you about this year is listen. Even with all of the energies and you're moving forward with that fire horse, but you're still listening. Because we are very much just infants and beginning a brand new phase of human history, really, at this stage. So this last stage of 2026 is going to be very, very much of that deep dive with the heart and with values. And this is where the energies around the masculine are also going to become stronger. So if there are misalignments with the masculine and feminine, by the end of the year, it will become even stronger. At this time next year, 2020, 2027, we're going to be actually getting ready for a Mars retrograde. So we're going to end the year of 2026 with a lot of power. And either we are understanding that this power is designed to work together and find where the alignment is and find where the resonance is and not the differences. Or if we are looking at the differences, we're going to be feeding into the shadow of Leo. And then by this time next year, we might be looking at some very big power plays coming to a head. So this is why I say that this time right now where we're at is golden. This is very much the golden time of 2026. I would just say to trust your heart, trust your clarity, because this is the time to move forward. This is the time to move forward. And so I will leave you just with a couple final tips that I have for you. But I want to ask Neil, how does that?
Raquel,
Yeah, Neil.
it sounded incredible, but I just wanted to, I have a question for you in the chat. So can I read that out for you?
Please.
All right. Can you speak about the Pluto square to Chiron when it moves into Taurus? When is it exact and how many times?
So, yeah, the planets, they pretty much, especially the slower ones, they tend to aspect 2 or 3 times any planet. That's why Venus and Chiron, they will aspect each other 3 times during this retrograde. And essentially, regardless of how many times they aspect each other, this is a huge, huge moment, I would say, honestly, for Chiron. It's like the vision I get when I tap into the square and ultimately Chiron is the vision of the phoenix that is coming out of the ashes. So the square to Chiron is going to be, of course, very big, very intense, but honestly, we've been coming from some very intense astrological alignments in the last 5 years. So to me, this is, one more that's just necessary. I think overall, aside from that square to Chiron, I think overall we have some very, very positive energies. So before I talk into that square, I just want to put things into perspective, because we are, it can be a bit scary to look at a Pluto and Chiron square. But again, we've gone through many really huge energies, in my opinion, even more intense in the last 5 years. So to me, this is just the conclusion of this process. And overall, again, the rest of the planets are working in the most glorious and harmonious of ways. I can't even tell you how lucky we are. I can't even begin to tell you how lucky we are. So the outer planets, they're all aspecting each other in a harmonious way. And this is going to be a lifesaver to us. So the square to Pluto, it's going to have to do with the... Wait. So we want to be very mindful of the... just bringing here some notes on Pluto, but we want to be very mindful of these energies because they have to do with massive transitions we're going through. And the Pluto square is going to be the phoenix coming out of the ashes. It is that time for the rebirth of the wounded healer. So partly it's going to work with the Venus retrograde. That's where partly the square is going to be bringing a whole new dimension to our wounds. I feel like it's going to be like an ultimatum where the ultimate purpose is for us to snap out of that era of, the wounded healer. And it really is starting to sound a little bit like the victim. So we're going to be jolted out of that, self-perpetuating these patterns that we then victimize ourselves for. But then also it's going to coincide with a lot of the world events. Yes, I'm going to tell you, returns are not easy. Returns, they have to do with the end of the previous cycle. So if we're looking at Chiron, we're looking at the end of half a century. The last 50 years of how we have been interacting with this archetype. So the last few stages of a return can seem really challenging because if there's any wound or challenge around it, it gets pushed all the way out because the intention is for the new cycle to be totally different. So I think part of that square is the intensity of like, okay, we're done with that. We're not carrying this into the next cycle of the collective. Now we're ready for the healers, the word healers, but in a brand new light. So ultimately that's what I see the Pluto Chiron square being. That will be an intricate one, and I will be speaking more about it in my videos, in my live I do once a month, I do live workshop with my community as well. And it will be an intricate one, that square. So yeah, all the wounds in regard to our values and, what we need, what we think we need, what we think we want. Of course, even going all the way to money, and our values with money. And it very much is that the shedding of that, the releasing with the phoenix, rising from the ashes of that old identity to values and love and relationships and all the things that Chiron represents. Neil? Well, I don't know where Neil
Yeah,
is. Oh,
I'm here. I was making some cacao. And
okay. That's a good reason to take a break.
so thank you for that. Thank you for that answer. And I know you wanted to. Oh, I have some more comments, but if you like, you can get into the tips first.
No, yeah, you want to ask me a few, we can maybe cover
Well,
like one or two
just
more.
something that connecting the dots that from what you were sharing, right?
Mhm.
So as you know, the last couple of years, the reptilian years, snake and dragon, and then obviously COVID, a lot of deep reflection. Even during the COVID times, it was like people had to really reflect on like, what am I if I'm not my job? Like a lot of people had that because they're so everybody was everybody was on the same level at that point, right? And so it was like it gave us more of an opportunity to think of bigger things and take a huge stop and pause in this world, right? And
Mhm.
so that was kind of brought up a lot of, whether you looked at it positively or negatively, it still brought up a lot of shadow stuff. And
Yeah.
then we went into the dragon year and the snake year and more shadow stuff. And now what you shared today, you shared shadow side of technology, and you also shared um, about the new guard, the new leaders, right? And
Mhm.
I was thinking like, I was like, I was thinking as you're saying that, most of the leaders that are the ones that are controlling us in a way that isn't for the benefit of all humanity are not actually people that we see on TV. They're
Mhm.
part of what we call the shadow government, right?
Yes.
And I was like, well, what a trip, because we've been doing the shadow work and obviously it always continues. There's layers that we need to continue to peel back. But now we're getting into the collective
Mhm.
shadow, when it comes to exposing the way we're going to have a new change in leadership is by exposing what we call the shadow government, quite
Mhm.
literally, right? The way we're going to look at technology, I'm huge into technology, and I sometimes, yes, I admit I have rose-colored glasses when it comes to technology because I love it so much, right? But like my aunt the other day at Christmas, she goes to me, "What do you, based on everything that you're doing, and all these events, what do you feel is like happening for humanity? Are you hopeful?" And I said, "Yeah," and I told her why, and then she said to me that she's not hopeful because she's an elementary school teacher and she sees the way the kids are and how when they have a phone or they have some sort of technology, they cannot disconnect from it. She's around kids all the time. And then
Wow.
her kids are 16 and 14 years old. And every moment they're just on their phone.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, I never even considered that a shadow part of technology. Because I'm thinking bigger picture, quantum computing, AI.
Mm.
But it's like we have been kind of, our attention spans, our energy has been kind of consumed by it. So, as you're sharing your tips, I'd love for you to get into more mindfulness on how we can really start, because
Mhm.
even I'm a victim to that. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And because I'm aware, I sometimes I kick myself because I'm like I can't disconnect because it's so addictive. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, those are just some of my thoughts.
I do, and it all ties in together with what we were talking about, that shadow side of Aquarius. Because the shadow side of technology is very real from many angles, and I think that's the biggest secret that we have to, we really have to master this one component of technology, and I think it's going to be the secret to everything. Because when he talked about tips for mindfulness, it's very easy. You get Aquarius. Well, what is the power of Aquarius? It's humanitarian themes. power with the people. So the same way that you can have the shadow of Aquarius, you can also have the power of and of course you can also have the power of technology. But my point here is that the secret to this whole entire transition really is in us getting this point that it's power with, not power over, that's going to get us through the other side. So you have technology, amazing, but what are we going to do with the technology is going to make all the difference. So in your example, you have, the teacher who's witnessing the kids, which is very real, by the way, 24/7 in technology and their phones. And just a brief word on, I really feel like the responsibility that we have as parents and older than them to help them find the balance as well. They don't know any better. They're being born right now into a generation where this is their reality. So we can't expect them to see the world the way we do. So it really is our responsibility as older members and parents, especially the parents, to help educate our children into having balance. So if you're using technology just to serve for your own addictions, what's happening here is you are separating yourself from humanity. You're going into the shadow side of ego. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying obviously there's a time to work and there's a time to answer emails and all that. But this is like when you're passing that, I've gone to dinner with with groups of people where half the people are there talking and the other half are all like in their phones, right? And it's just like, is the technology you're using being used to separate you from people or bring you closer? And I think that's the difference, because the power of Aquarius is people. And this is the big factor that's going to determine where we're going to go from here. Because if we use technology to unite and to help us as a collective find solutions, now we're talking. But if we separate ourselves and make it all about us and all about our little Facebook accounts and all about, whatever technology can do for us, that's the shadow side of it.
Right. Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah.
So
And
you
we
want
also, I think we have to stop waiting for the world to change. Even the aspect of the humanitarian, it's not like the whole world is going to see things the way you do, but one or two or three or more people where you can join forces with, and you guys can work on this project that's a priority for you. And it's all about finding solutions. Instead of looking, like you said, Neil, looking at the problem, look at the solutions, right?
right. As you're saying this, I'm thinking willpower, right? Having the willpower, and then thinking on the grand scheme of the collective. I feel like on some level, like us coming here with amnesia, it was almost like a test for ourselves. When the cards are stacked against us, when we don't even remember who we truly are, do we still find the light? Right? That's the game. Like, are we still? Is the spark within us so deeply ingrained that even when darkness has permeated this reality, we completely forgot who we are? Do we still wake up? Right? And that's obviously yes, we do. And then that comes out with everything, including technology. It's like when the cards are stacked against you, when things are thrown at you that are addictive, when the screen is trying to pull you in even more, when the food has chemicals that make you want to eat more of it and that's hurting you, are you able to break free? Is your willpower strong enough to break free from that? It's like the epitome of the test
Yeah.
of why we're here.
Yeah, beautifully said. And I think the energies right now in the beginning of the year are perfect for that willpower, because they are exceptionally strong. The willpower we have right now to move forward is we are as supported as it gets right now. There's no excuse.
100%.
Yeah. So can I leave just a couple tips just as we
Yeah,
close?
please.
I feel like
Yeah.
after all of this, and we are looking at a big year ahead where a lot of the energies are going to be shifting drastically. This is the first year of the future. You can look at it literally this way. 2026 is the first year of the future. So I think that more than looking at what you're going to be doing. You know, we all have these goals and all these new directions and partnerships, and things are definitely exciting, which I want to encourage you. Okay. This is there for a reason. Keep going. Okay. But this, more than taking action and moving forward, this is a year to listen and to really look at yourself as if you were in a game and needing to move based on strategy. So, in order to do that, the number one most important thing during this time is balance. Think of balance as your new spirituality. There's many ways of achieving balance, but this is a big topic that I always talk to my community about. And this is a balance that doesn't depend on, you know, you having to go talk to your therapist or, you know, go to a healing session, or worse yet, rely on old addictions or ways to, right? We're talking about a sense of peace and satisfaction together that can only come from you. This is where our new spiritual models are coming in as well. Okay. Again, this is a big subject. Balance is a big subject, but it's everything, because with the information overload, with the energetic overload, with the, I keep seeing the Aquarius wave glyph, the energy overload that we're experiencing right now, and it's not going to get any easier. There's only one way to do this, and it's with rhythm and pace and peace and very grounded. And grounded just means present. Present. You're not speaking here and thinking of a million things, or speaking about this and already thinking about the end of it. You're here. You're present. And I think that being present and being balanced is key to listening, because when you are present and when you're calm, you can hear more and see more. And this is very, very important for strategy. Again, this is not about proving your point or who has the loudest voice or convincing anyone of anything. Okay, this is just about listening for alignment. So balance is the first one. The second tip I would give is find new ways. The old models are not working. I was talking with my students the other day about how even like the concept of websites, it's going to become like old paradigm so fast. Everything as we know it today is going to become old paradigm. The social media platforms we use, the access that we have to internet, or even our understanding of internet as it is, it's all going to shift so drastically. So looking ahead at brand new ways of doing things, of presenting yourself, of, you know, carrying out your services or your work, really looking at things in a new way. Find new ways. The old is just not going to work. Then the other one is don't be too opinionated. Okay, it's one thing to be clear and focused and determined, but it's another thing if you're going to be entering into a back and forth arguing with anyone. It's just not worth your time and energy. Okay, so don't be too opinionated, because especially 2026, it's going to be a trap. It's going to be a trap, I'm telling you. When the South Node goes into Leo and Jupiter goes into Leo, and then Mars is retrograde at this time next year, all these energies, they're going to, whatever ego is out of balance, it's going to just be like a crazy car out of control that's just going to start to flip by 2027 and beyond. So we want to be very careful that Chiron square Pluto. We want to listen. Don't be too opinionated. All you want to do is listen for resonance, and then, like a magnet, start to attract or start to connect with your like resonance and alignment. And then last but not least, don't look at everything outside wondering, how is everything out there changing? But look inside and ask yourself, how am I changing in response to all these energies? So again, always look at yourself. You are going through the biggest upgrade ever. The old you is gone. And this really is the time to look into a whole brand new way of being. So silence the voices, go within. Okay, this is really a whole new paradigm for autonomy, embodiment, and sovereignty.
Beautiful, Raquel. Thank you so much. And I love what you closed out with right there. Instead of looking at the external world and how it's responding, how am I changing in response to all these energies? Yeah, you have this the things like we know this. We have complete control over the way we feel, right? And the way we respond and react. You know, a little third dimensional example, right? Is that yesterday, so I flew from Medellin, Colombia to Cali, Colombia yesterday, right? Because I wanted to experience a new city. I was sick. I had the cold. I was in the car driving, the taxi coming here, and I left my wallet in the car, and it had around $1,400, my whole budget
Oh,
for the whole. That's how I brought in New Year's, and I was like so excited about. I was gonna be by myself in this new place in Cali, Colombia, beautiful pool. I was gonna set some intentions, and but for some reason, I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I was just like, let me just sleep off it. Let me sleep this off. Let me wake up tomorrow and recreate my world. Money comes in, money goes. I will be fine. I will survive. There's no need to have fear. Let me cancel my cards. And usually I would be like so angry and pissed, from that in the past. And I really got a moment to really check in with myself. And and ultimately it's really I'm like really excited for what's to come. I really love today and the reset. And that for me was kind of like an example of that. How am I changing in response to all these energies? And in that situation, the energy was me losing something that really meant a lot to me. You know what I mean? Even though it was like third dimensional, it was my livelihood for 1 month. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's a bummer that it happened, but it's just really interesting just to see that I'm not reactory anymore.
yeah. Yeah, and even thinking about that, the timeline shift, like this year, 2026, is probably astronomically and astrologically, it's the biggest timeline shift significator. So I think that we have to take everything, like read everything in between the lines, and who knows, maybe if you hadn't lost your wallet, or that hadn't happened in that sequence of events, it would have taken you in a different direction
Yeah.
versus what's happening now. So you never know what the bigger picture is all about in regard to
Exactly.
all of
Yeah.
this.
And trusting, because I could go ahead and be in fear, or I could just trust in the bigger picture. And there's always a bigger picture,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
one other thing that you shared that let's talk about for a second is don't be so opinionated, right? And this thing that comes to my mind is that they, whoever they are, yes, they're parts of us, but them,
Mhm.
they want us to choose a side,
Mhm.
want us to have an opinion. And ultimately, the opinions that they want us to have, most of the time, aren't even their own opinions. They are just pushing that opinion out there to create some sort of division between us all, right? And a great example is if you've ever studied war, ancient history war, whether it's the world wars, whether it's the Korean War, the Vietnam War, whether it's the Trojan War, whatever wars, you can almost see now with ChatGPT, you can do a deep dive yourself, that almost every reason for that war was not actually the reason for that war. So
Yeah.
what
Mhm.
they told people to divide them, what they told people to create hatred in the other, was actually not the real reason for why they started that in the first place. Whether it's Iraq and oil or something like that. So when you get fed these things from people from different countries, from presidents, prime ministers, or whatever, trying to make you choose a side, I feel like history has taught us, if it's taught us anything, it's taught us that 9 times out of 10, if not almost every single time, we're not really told the real truth. So the best thing to do is to play that middle ground, because ultimately knowing that the reason why, I'm going off on a tangent here, but let me just share this. I watched a CNN interview with this CIA woman who was a CIA director many years ago, right? And then she goes, "You have to realize that nobody thinks that they're the bad guy."
That's amazing.
And what she meant was she's talking about terrorists and all these stuff. Everybody thinks they're doing the right thing. And the reason why they think they're doing the right thing is because of what? They think they're protecting their people.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid that the other is going to take away their basic right to live.
Yeah.
And I don't want that for anybody. 99% of the Americans don't want that for anybody, right?
Mhm.
So you got to realize this divide and conquer just enforces this system. So not choosing a side, not being opinionated on that level, and then really focusing on what you feel in regards to that, I feel is the only way forward.
Well said. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, Neil.
So Raquel, I love you so much. And before you close out, if you want to share anything else, any closing words, also let people know again where they can find you, what you have coming up.
Yes, you know what I just did right now. I just try to compact and summarize all the big energies and shift of 2026 into this meeting here. But there's a lot more to dive deep into, and like I said, I'll be offering weekly guidance and support through the newsletter. You can just sign up there at raquelspring.com. That's my website. So you can sign up for the newsletter. And if you are, as I call, an astrology lover, and even if you just want to understand a little more, you're the deep thinker or the deep seeker, we have the mentorship program. They're full of different activities and deep dives into these energies every week, every month. So I'll see you there. And for everybody here, I just want to end with Neil, like you, I'm very excited. I think more than anything, we know at the end of the day that we signed up for this. We know at the end of the day that we didn't come here to have the Hollywood depiction of life, because we know that that doesn't exist. That's not real. So we know that this is the moment we came for. So it's very exciting. We're here, we're doing it. And I think at the end of the day, it's really just about being neutral. This is about strategy. Find the alignment, migrate towards it. When it's out of alignment, let it go. This is not about separation. It's about evolution, consciousness, and then creation from that place. So I'm very excited. I think we're ready.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. Raquel, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom, your heart, and everything. I'm so happy that we got to spend the first day of the year together.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
I love you. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you,
Take care.
everyone. Happy New Year.
Beautiful. There we have it, everybody. So we'll stay on for a little while longer here because I'd love to read your comments and see what you're feeling before we close out. I loved what Raquel said about the first year of the future. I was almost done making my cacao, and I screamed out loud in that moment. I was like, yes, that feels so real to me. The first year of the future, and we're building for that future now. Let's do it. Feel that this year, from everything I heard today and like what I've been feeling before, but mostly from today, is a buffer year. This is an opportunity. We have some time. We have some time to work out the kinks within ourselves, work out the kinks in the way we treat ourselves, treat others, have the opinions, the compassion for ourselves and others, and really expand into a beautiful world that really waits for us all, right? Truly, I wouldn't be doing this work if I didn't feel that there is a better way to live on Earth. And sometimes, like maybe all of you, maybe some of you believe that, but deep within us all, we know that there's a way that we could all live in harmony, peace, and true love and compassion. And that's what it's all about. So enjoy this year, and let's move forward in creating that world. Now, I'm going to just share a couple of announcements here before we close out. Oh, yeah. Also, I love what Raquel said about balance, because that ties into the masculine and feminine energy, and also a year to listen. Listen to yourselves, listen to others. And I'm speaking to myself as I'm reiterating the words that Raquel said as well. Listen. So thank you all for tuning in. Now we're going to get into a couple of announcements. Next few days, Portal to Ascension, we are going to be hitting it hard on the YouTube channel with such amazing events. Tomorrow, I'm doing a 2-hour thing with Billy Carson over here around the same time, I think. You can check out the live section on the YouTube. Please do go ahead and subscribe to our channel if you like what we're sharing. And on the next day, on Saturday and Sunday, on January 3rd and 4th this week, we are doing the Real Disclosure Conference. And I like to start out the year with something that I'm really passionate about. And obviously, I'm really passionate about the disclosure of the fact that we're not alone in the universe. So I'm going to put up, here we go, here's this. So these are the upcoming events, Portal to Ascension, Real Disclosure, free event. You can donate if you would like to, and go to portaltoascension.org, sign up there. If you're on the email list, you're going to get an email on the day off. We're also going to be live on the YouTube channel. Then we have the Pleiadians and the Arcturians conference, January 11th. I've done a Pleiadian conference before. I've done an Arcturian conference before. But this year, I thought, why not bring them together and create a huge cosmic reunion with the Pleiadians and Arcturians? So we have about half the speakers of the Pleiadian representatives. We have the other half of the Arcturian representatives. Then on January 17th, if you guys haven't noticed that we're really galactic and UFO this month, Geraldine Orozco, she's going to be there on January 17th doing the truth of our cosmic lineage. On January 31st, we have the Return of the Dragons conference, which is my third Dragons conference, third annual. I'm going to keep it going. And then if you're into astrology, which obviously you must be because you're here right now, but you want to go into the Chinese astrology, we have on February 7th, the final shedding. Dun, dun, dun. The year of the snake ends and the horse begins. That is going to be co-hosted with Nana Kasha. We have 3 other presenters that will be there. We're going to be talking about the end of the snake year. We're doing this every year now. We're doing a Chinese astrology event, and we'll do this as well every year, this event as well. And then we're going to talk about the horse. And then after that, we have another free event called the Re-Evolution of Consciousness Conference. And that's only the next 1 month and 1 week. We have so much happening. So really hope to see you at some of these events. Let's have some fun this year. Let's continue to spread light and consciousness and move into this beautiful world that is waiting for us to step into it. And I'm going to end here with the New Living Expo trailer one more time. But I want to check out your comments here. So we have some comments here for Raquel. Hopefully, Raquel, you're checking them out as well in the chat. They know the difference between, I'm just going to read some comments for a second. They know the difference between mantis and pages of Gone Bassett for clone, right? I'm not sure what that means. Stephanie said, yes, let's have fun. 25 years gone from this millennium, right? I resonate with all of what everyone said, especially the part about being opinionated. Yes, me too. Silent Night is given a pretty good emoji there. There will never be a time where 8.2 billion people will be on the same page. That's not how this works. Yeah, we all have different opinions. We all have different beliefs. And that's the beauty of the diversity. But are we able to create a beautiful world of harmony? Do we all want love, connection, community? Maybe we can all be on the same page of realizing that we have nothing to fear in each other, right? Thank you, gracious beings. Much love to one and all. All right, everybody. So I want to close this out with 3 deep breaths in and out together, creating some heart coherence, sending the frequency, sending all the merits and all the wisdom that was shared today, even from the beginning when you guys shared your intentions and your excitement for this year. Let's breathe it into our heart and breathe it out. So go ahead and get comfortable. Maybe close your eyes if you want to. And in a few moments here, we're going to start with the first inhale through the nose. We're going to exhale deeply out of the heart. And we're going to do that 3 times. So let's begin in 3, 2, 1. Deep inhale. Let it go through the heart. Deep inhale again. Let it go. One more time. Deep inhale. Love and appreciate all of you. Thank you for being here with us today. Hope you have a beautiful, abundant, prosperous, joyous year. Let's continue to move forward and create the world that we want to create for ourselves, for the rest of humanity. And I'm leaving you now with the trailer for the New Living Expo. Love to see you guys there, April 17th to 19th, 2026 in San Rafael, California, which is just over the Golden Gate Bridge in the Bay Area. So here we go. Take care, everybody. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
The world is changing faster than ever before, and within this evolution, a new consciousness is rising. At the New Living Expo, thousands gather to expand consciousness, explore new conscious technologies, ancient wisdom, and the future of human potential. Immerse yourself in 3 days of heart-expanding wisdom and mind-binding awareness, with over 90 speakers sharing tools to awaken your highest potential. 125 exhibitors, 3,000 attendees, awakened souls unite in one powerful weekend of learning, healing, and connection. Experience transformation, connection, and the next chapter of human evolution. It is time for humanity to awaken. Join us at newlivingexpo.com.